Hello everyone and welcome back to the Backrooms, except we are not in the Backrooms today. We have far more important business to be attending to, and that is the fact that Twilight Sparkle from My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and Associated Properties is in fact a groomer and a predator. Um, I didn't really sleep, so this is going to be a sleep deprived rant. I'm also doing this instead of like work or homework or like things that can pay my bills. So this is a priority. This is a priority. We're just going to roll with it. I'm about to change all of your lives, perspectives, and childhood forever. So let's break it down Barney style, okay? We got to get into first. We got to get ourselves into the timeline, okay? Here's the timeline, essentially, of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic before the start of the show. Or the start of My Little Pony Equestria Girls, which is when the grooming in question takes place. So on the left, you can see an image of Twilight Sparkle in Season 1, Episode 1, in which we find out that she is a university student studying under Princess Celestia, and she is being sent on essentially a study abroad program to go study the magic of friendship. Basically, her favorite professor and, like, you know, the person who gets to decide whether she graduates or not is like, you're so smart, but you've never had any friends and you suck at friendships, so you need to go get good at friends and then you can, like, graduate university. So she's like, okay, whatever you say, Princess Celestia, sure, I'll go get good at friendship. And then she gets good at friendship until we see the image on the right, which is Season 3, the finale, in which she basically graduates university and has her coronation to become an alicorn and a princess. The class system within the world of My Little Pony, for those of you that don't know, is very corrupt. Only unicorns can go to university. Pegasi live in, like, an ethnic enclave because they live in, like, cloud cities where only they can live because no one else can walk on clouds for some reason. And Earth ponies basically only get to do, like, hard manual labor. Like, the Earth ponies in the show work on, like, a rock farm, an apple farm, and at a bakery, and that's about it. And then alicorns are people who have horns and wings, and they're the princesses. So in order to, like, rule over a realm, you have to be an alicorn. And so Princess Twilight Sparkle here, she's now a princess and an alicorn. She is assuming power, taking on her new role, and she is a college graduate, so she is like a young adult, early 20s type vibe, and so are all of her friends. Now, this takes us to the first movie, My Little Pony Equestria Girls, which happens right after the finale of Season 3, before the first episode of Season 4. How do I know this, you ask? Because I asked the most trustworthy source in the world, finding a random Reddit post from 6 months ago and believing the top comment. However, I think this does make sense timeline-wise, especially because, as you can see in the image on the right, she has her wings visible, so it would have to be after she became an alicorn, and there isn't really, like, lore implications of the events of Season 4 in the special. I think it's also probably based on, like, the time that it came out was probably in between the seasons, but I wasn't paying that much attention. So anyway, basically in the first movie, we see Twilight Sparkle get transported to this other world in which all of her friends from the previous world, who are on the right, like Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Fluttershy, you know, she finds them all at high school, and so she's, like, going to high school with them, but they're being terrorized by one of Princess Celestia's other previous students, who's, like, evil or something, and that's why she was banished to this other world, who is Sunset Shimmer, who's the one with, like, the red and yellow hair there. So basically, they, like, beat up Sunset Shimmer at the end of the first movie, and then Sunset Shimmer becomes good after this and is, like, a good guy in all of the movies going forward. But that's not what's important. The important thing is that even though this woman is a university graduate, when she gets transported into this high school, she has a whole love interest with a different character named Flash Century, or Flash Sentry, which is just weird, because they have all the schooling in Equestria. And actually, she specifically, being raised as a unicorn, has access to more schooling than everybody else. Because for, like, unicorns, they can go to university. For earth ponies, they basically just get, like, elementary and middle school. And then for Pekka's side, they basically get, like, elementary and middle school, and then they can join, like, a military or flight academy, and that's their only option. But, so she is uniquely situated as a unicorn to be familiar with the entire schooling system, and yet she still gets transported into a random high school and is like, let me have a crush on this high schooler, this high school student, and befriend all these high schoolers, which are like my friends, but from another world, but the same personality. And this is all okay for me to do as, like, a 23-year-old woman. Yeah, very sus. Very suspicious vibes. And we have to assume that at this point, they're, like, sophomores in high school, because there's, like, a little bit of lore from, like, a year ago in which, like, Sunset Shimmer and Flash Century dated, and, like, there's kind of some history between the rest of them and Sunset Shimmer, but there isn't a lot, and there's, like, a million specials and a TV show that comes out of this in which they're all, like, still in high school. And so it kind of seems like they just have to be, like, sophomores at the latest. Otherwise, there would not be enough room in this show for all of the other specials that came out of this later. So basically, we got to assume Flash Sentry is, like, 14, maybe 15 at the time that this is taking place. And Twilight Sparkle, at least, like, 21, maybe older. We're not entirely sure. After that, we go back through the events of Season 4 of My Little Pony, and the theme of Season 4 is really focused on, like, maturing. So, now, we've had enough of this nerd shit, okay? Now it's time to get angry again, okay? Rainbow Rocks! Okay, first of all, Rainbow Rocks, low-key, Rainbow Rocks is, in fact, one of the best movies of all time. It introduces the sirens. I love the sirens. They're all like, ooh, whoa, you didn't know that you fell. I'll say it. Like, young me was in love with them, and I'm okay with that. Like, they're pretty cool. The sirens, also, in fact, I think technically not high schoolers. I don't know. It's very confusing. It's kind of like a Twilight situation in which they've been high schoolers for, like, a million years or something. Like, they're like, we've been trapped here hundreds of years, and we've been trapped here as high schoolers. And the sirens basically feed off negative energy, so they sing their little songs where they're like, and then people fight and get angry, and then they, like, feed off the negative energy. They're also from Equestria. And then they pop up to the school, because they'd be like, we need magic from Equestria. There's Equestria magic at this school that was, like, released after the events of the first special. We're gonna go pick fights there so we can feed off the magic. And then Twilight Sparkle comes back because Sunset Shimmer has this, like, magic diary where she can write to Twilight Sparkle, and it appears in, like, an identical copy of the diary that Twilight Sparkle has in Equestria. And basically Sunset Shimmer's like, so there's these sirens, and they're making everyone fight and feeding off our magic, so, like, it'd be pretty cool if you could come back, Twilight, because, like, we're a little lost without you. We don't really know how to, like, keep these people from trying to kill us all, you know? It's kind of awkward. Twilight is once again flirting with Flash Sentry. Why? Why is she flirting with Flash? It's not necessary to the plot. And Flash is even, like, all excited when she comes back. He's like, I'm so happy that you're here. Remember how I was in a band in the last special? Well, my band is entered in the Battle of the Bands that these Siren kids put together. I'm so excited that you came back to town so you could cheer me on. And she goes, this is so awkward. Actually, I joined Rainbow Dash's band with all my friends. And he's like, so you, first of all, flirt with me for an entire movie. Second of all, leave to go back to your home world, ghosting me for months on end. And then third of all, you pop back into town, and you immediately want to compete against me. and win at something that could legitimately put me and my friends ahead and be like the first stepping stone on our path to a successful career. Twilight, you're selfish, and that sucks. And then we're all supposed to feel bad for Twilight because she cries, and we're like, oh, Flash didn't mean that. He's just under the spell of the sirens. Like, Twilight Sparkle is crying, and we all feel bad for her. No, she deserved that. She deserved that, actually. How are you, as, like, a grown-ass 23-year-old woman, okay, gonna, like, do all this to, like, a 15-year-old, and then be like, my feelings are so hurt. I'm so sad. I'm so sad, guys. Like, I don't feel bad for you, okay? Go away. Sorry, got a little heated there. She just kind of, there's like a little random scene at the end of one of these where she's like blushes when she runs into Flash in her own world, but she never pursues him romantically, when he is in fact like an age-appropriate option for her. I still don't think she should be dating a guard at the palace of her mentor when she is in fact also a princess. That's also problematic. But when he isn't, like, 8 years younger than her, she's like, not a romantic option, actually. So, that makes her look even worse, is all I'm saying. And then, after Rainbow Rocks, it's not really clear if Friendship Games takes place during Season 5 or Season 6, like, it's somewhere in that realm. But during this special, they introduce the Twilight Sparkle from this world. Turns out, she goes to the other, like, school. There's like an academy that's in the city, and they're competing in the Friendship Games. And so when this world's Twilight Sparkle pulls up, everyone at the school is trying to talk to her, and she's just like confused, and she just be trying to like win games. And we know that she's different because she has glasses. Yeah, I know, it's really dumb. Anyway, so high-key, glasses Twilight, kind of a slay, because now Flash can at least date an age-appropriate Twilight Sparkle. So I'm like, yay, okay. Age-appropriate love interest, we replace Twilight Sparkle from the other world, who's like 25 or 26 at this point. I don't even know, guys. Yeah, basically all of the future like shows and specials and everything, that's all with teenage Twilight Sparkle. But you know what they don't do? Now that they have an age-appropriate love interest for Flash Sentry, have him get together with age-appropriate Twilight Sparkle. Instead, they completely ignore this opportunity, and they tease Flash and Sunset Shimmer like flirting with each other and getting back together for the rest of the fucking series. They never actually date, but like the rest of like the special, the upcoming series, like music videos, like they be flirting with each other. And Sunset Shimmer is even older than Twilight technically. We're giving her the Twilight treatment, okay? We're giving her the Twilight treatment. That's right. Jail time for both. Lock them both up. I don't want to see either of them getting anywhere near Flash Sentry ever again. Okay? And justice for this guy. Justice for Flash Sentry. He was annoying as hell, but he did not deserve what he went through. Okay, well that's it. That's the whole thing now. This was a very impassioned rant. I think I'm gonna have to actually edit this for once because I just kept going off on angry tangents. So yeah, anyway, in conclusion, Twilight Sparkle and Sunset Shimmer are groomers. And the sirens, still hot. Bye, chat.